So stuff like that, man, stuff like that. So yeah, man.
That's what's up, man. All
Boom.
right, everyone. Frank 5D here for the rap scene. We got an individual here who's dope enough to come through, slide, and have a conversation with us about the greatness that he brings to the culture. We want to say welcome to the rap scene to international published commercial photographer and graphic designer, Benny Black. What up, Benny?
What's going on? What's up, everybody? I appreciate you having me. Thank you for this opportunity, and spreading the word about the creative space in hip hop called photography.
That's what's up. It's we wanted to do this to, again, start creating conversations around the people who are behind the imagery that really, gets us to actually buy into a lot of these artists and the things that go on in the culture. So again, thank you for coming. How was your holiday?
Oh man, it was good, man. Spend time with the family, watch the kids, eat as much as they could, sit around, talk with individuals about things coming up, things that happened previously, reminisced, and then talked about future endeavors. That's really what we did for the most part.
Straight up and down, y'all and everybody else. It seemed like everybody decided to have Thanksgiving on Thursday last week, and then go shopping. But that's dope.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit more about your story. How'd you get into shooting? You get into hip hop?
Yeah. So to really start off the story in a different light, I'm gonna give myself a pause second because I want to make sure that I get to the individuals who wouldn't even think of getting to where I am, because I didn't see myself getting here. So I started being a visual artist and a drummer. So I played instruments, and then I was in for art, drawing and painting to start. And when I was in high school, they came to me and said, "Hey, you need another elective." And I was like, "Okay, cool, another elective, that'd be all right." Then we're like, "Yeah, communication arts." And I'm like, "I don't want to be in no communication arts. I don't want to do with no computers. This is nowhere near where I want to be." But then I ended up sitting in a room with this cat named Jeremy. If you've seen this video somehow, shout out to you. A Caucasian young cat who was wearing like the large bell bottoms, carried his skateboard around all the time. And he sat next to me in communications class, and I just heard him clicking the keyboard. I'm like, "What are you doing?" And then lo and behold, it turned into a situation where he saved it as a document, like an HTML document, and double tapped on it, and it was a website. He created a whole website from what we would see as just jargon, but it was the syntax. It was all of this text and stuff that I didn't know nothing about at the time, and it blew my mind. He literally made something out of nothing, right? His mind said, "I know what this language can be. I'm going to sit here and take what I see in my head with this language and create something with it." So
that's all the way.
Yeah, I was like, whoa. So then next thing you know, I started doing, some of that, doing graphic work, getting into it. And then lo and behold, that's how I got into doing graphic work. And I would say one of my first clients was Cicero from Philly.
Right.
And he was working with a record label, and they gave me an opportunity, and then it turned into doing stuff for other cats and get an opportunity to do some stuff for Meek Mill before he got on, and like Young Hot, and the reason why I'm saying their names is because that was an era, NH Kaboom, all of those cats, Reed Dollars, all those dudes. So then it turned into a situation where these cats were sending me images that just didn't work. They were taken with their cell phones. They were getting pictures taken by somebody who wasn't a photographer and saying, "Yeah, make it look like this and make it look like that." I'm like, "This ain't working." So then that's when I got into the photography. I was like, if I'm gonna do the graphic work, I might as well know how to do the photography to really bring the idea to life, especially because I was doing a lot of image manipulation. So a lot of the boss status with DJ Difference, with Rick Ross and Meek Mill, I did a lot of those. I think it was like 1 through 9. I did those covers, and it was a lot of image. Yeah, it was like a lot of image manipulation. So then
that helps to like bring cohesion to the entire idea that you're doing with it. Do the photo, then do the design work, do the editing. Like that can be a whole lot for an artist to really undertake. But you did it dope, and it seems like you just came right out of the gate with that clientele that a lot of shooters want to get.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it helped because I was learning from seeing real photographers as well at the time. because I was a nobody, you know, at that time when I was just trying to learn and get into it. But then it turned into me doing stuff for a lot of cats in Delaware, right, from where I'm from. So went from Philly, Delaware, some cats in Jersey, people in New York, and then it just started spreading out from there, which is really awesome. So, you know, come fast forward, you know, then I just really broke into, you know, it just being not only just the hip hop, but anything that pertained around that: fashion, street photography, clothing. So started working with bigger brands because people I knew were getting hired and working in those companies. Or I met people on set that ended up having, you know, these different relationships with these companies, and then they started hiring me and bringing me in, and it just turned into one of the most, you know, the dopest situations that I was able to be a part of. And
That's tight.
yeah, and that's what kind of blew me to the person I am today, because I was willing to say, hey, this isn't going to work. I'm not going to be able to just use what this person is, that person has, you know, allow me to figure out how to do this myself, and then maybe turn this into something that's going to, you know, impact what the artist is trying to show. Right.
That's right.
A person can say, hey, just give me something dope. Okay, I can do that. But does it fit what you're doing? So now when I get a chance to, so shout out to, you know, a few people at Rock Nation, and shout out to Taya. You know, she's one that brought me to kind of work with them again, outside of some other people that I got a chance to tie into. And we have meetings with this. Hey, this artist has this idea. This artist wants this. Or we as the creative direction team have this idea. This is what we want. And then it goes into, okay, do the photos that we want to use match the ideas that we want to accomplish? And then it just goes into a process. So a lot of times it's not just some kid sitting in an office making a cover. Now when you get to the corporate side with approval and lawyers and all this other stuff, exactly. And then making sure that what you're putting out there hits home across all generations, and then all different ethnicities and backgrounds. That's another thing too, because hip hop is global. It is global. Yeah, absolutely.
And all that can be seen in your work. You've done, like, I don't know how many fire ass brand campaigns for Deer Park, Sage House. I've got a list of them, of course, but all kinds of work. So, like, how easy or difficult is it to like infuse hip hop, maybe like under the radar, when some of these brands might not be going that way?
Yeah, the best way to infuse it is just through your direction of what you've experienced and what you've been through. A lot of people hear how I talk, and they think, a lot of them think, oh, you know, you don't come from that culture. It's like, no, I had to groom my way of talking the way that I talk, because the way that I was talking previously wasn't fully accepted in all the realms. So what I do is I present myself as someone who can give them a vision from my background, and then when they see it, they're like, oh my gosh, it pops in this certain way and it does this. Well, that's how I see the world. That's how I see hip hop. That's how I see a lot of things. I see vibrance in detail that most people don't even care about, or even care to think about in the moment. When I see certain things, it's like even within certain clothing, certain details and things that most people would take for granted. But I take this close-up image, right, that shows you know, the stitching, the double, triple stitching. And you might say, well, how does that return? How does that return to hip hop? Well, think about it. One of the best things you ever heard Tupac say, right? You know, arose from the concrete, right? Like, if you really think of that, think of the detail of the dirt that's in the seam of a piece of concrete that shouldn't even allow for a rose to grow from that. But it can, and it does. And if you look at anything in design and hip hop, it's the same way. You know, beauty comes from even the most ugliest things that we think it could be, right? You know, think about it: concrete and ground that's put down. As soon as that ground cracks, right? As soon as the ground cracks, what comes through it?
One of the most beautiful things that one of the life springs.
Life springs from it. Right? You think you got rid of it? No, all it is laying under that. And once that concrete, after so many years, cracks, all of a sudden you see grass. They're like, oh, those are weeds. No, but if you don't touch them long enough, they become trees. Right? If you don't touch them long enough, they become gardens. You know,
take over the whole infrastructure too.
Yeah, if you let it go for long enough, it's going to do its own thing. It's gonna become very organic and grow how it can. But you know, that's the long-winded answer of, you know, how I'm able to put all of what I do and create into these other brands and still stay commercial, but still have a vibe of me and my community built into it.
Well, you do some amazing work. Everybody out there, go check his work out, because he's doing it for y'all and for the culture and making it happen. Switch your focus a little bit. Tell us how to what's up with the hip hop scene in the 302. For those that don't know, that is Delaware. That's the only area code in the state.
Yeah. 302, absolutely. The scene is bigger than most people would think in the hip hop realm. So for those who don't know, and he has shouted it out over the last several months, which I appreciate him doing that to kind of put light on our area. Young Guru, Jay-Z's engineer from Delaware, and he shows it a love. He goes to a lot of events down this way. He's connected to a lot of people I know, and he's really big. And most people say, "Oh, well, what does Jay-Z engineer have to do with, hip hop in Delaware?" Well, I'm like, you gotta understand, this person is one of the individuals who helped, mold and shape one of the rappers we consider to be the greatest. Mm-hmm. He was the one that said, "No, re-say this. Nah, take that out. That don't work. That doesn't work with your cadence. Do that again." And then these are the songs that we repeat. And this person is from here, which means we have that type of mindset to create and build and be a part of greatness outside of Delaware. We have other artists out here as well. Some people may know him around the world. Jet Phoenix, he's somebody who's still big in hip hop, had a music career, but then transferred into doing music videos, things of nature. He just shot the Ashanti video up in New York, which was really dope. I was all sad to get a chance to do some portrait photography of Ashanti.
You do a lot of. I was gonna ask, you do a lot of work with him, don't you?
Yeah. I mean, we came up, both from doing music back in the day until now, taking what we loved and the things that we felt didn't really represent what we wanted to see, and then we put it into the creative space, because we were creators before music, but then we used that to kind of bring it out there and push it out there. Now, we put it into our work and make sure that others see it. But I mean, we have so many different rappers and R&B artists and different writers, and then people from Delaware. I feel bad because I can't remember his name right now. But it was one of the gentlemen. He helped co-write and produce songs with Cardi B and Beyonce and stuff like that. And for anybody who knows his name, was it Derek Milano? Derek Milano was he's from this area. Sap the Beat Man, or he goes as just Sap now. Produced for Nas and Rick Ross and produced for Nipsey Hussle off the platinum album Man Rest in Peace, the Victory Lap. He was on that. He's from Delaware, right? So he was one of the first people who really believed in what Mac Miller was doing. He has video footage of Mac Miller coming to Delaware and being there. One of Nicki Minaj's first mixtapes was recorded in Wilmington with one of the DJs that I know personally. And she had worked on that before she had her big break. So, I mean, Delaware has a hip hop scene. It's just the simple fact that by Delaware being where it's at, most people don't know nothing about it. Mm-hmm. But if you think about it, to get down to Baltimore or to go up to New York, you have to go through Delaware primarily. Yeah. Right. So at some point you have to go through Delaware, you have to go through Wilmington area, all of that. So some celebrities, and a lot of those celebrities have touched Delaware directly or indirectly. Yeah.
That's what's up. So who's on your playlist?
Oh man, right now, no disrespect to my hometown, but right now that Freddie Gibbs, that new project by Freddie Gibbs, yeah, dude, yeah, exactly. That project, because I just heard about it when I heard it was out. And it's funny because, two of my favorite rappers right now, especially when I've seen them doing a whole bunch of stuff for the whole Fallout. But Benni the Butcher, which blessed Delaware with a show not too long ago, and Freddie Gibbs, those two, is just something about their rawness and how authentic they are. But I got Sap, I got a playlist with pretty much all Delaware artists as well. And what I'll probably do is I'll probably put that playlist out on my social media somehow and put that together for people to be able to click on it through a link tree or something like that. But as of right now, man, it's really that type of rap. I got a crazy playlist with Nipsey. Victory Lap is at the top of that. that right now that's a lot. But then I'll say this too, when I'm in my creative mode and I'm working on my photography and stuff in my office, I got a playlist of music from the 60s up into the 90s. It's about 300, 400 songs in there. So from Minnie Riperton to the Temptations over to the Isley Brothers, then it goes to Chic. I mean, it goes all over. Barry White, then it goes all the way up to Total. Yeah, it's all over, but it's a vibe. So my playlist is big, whether it's in hip hop itself or within the realms of things that hip hop grew up off of, right? Yeah. Because we were just talking about this before we had our interview, how a lot of people don't realize still that a lot of inspiration of hip hop and the remakes and the samples are from music that most people are like, oh, I don't listen to the old stuff. No, yeah, you do. It's in everything. Yeah.
That's what's up. So kind of going back to, when you got your start, because you've obviously like elevated to a point to where you probably don't have to deal with this no more. But give me a crazy story of a shoot, like just that of a rapper, like anything dangerous happened, and you got guns pulled on you or something.
The beautiful thing, no. I have friends who've been going through that. But I've always been the person who researches and studies the people I'm going to be working with, whether I knew them before or not. I do have a funny story, though, the one that just come up off the top. Working on set with 21 Savage. His name is...
That was for the Snipes campaign, right?
Yeah. The Snipes and PlayStation campaign. That dude is more authentic than you probably would want him to be. Luckily, I came from a background of being around people who were similar to him, because a lot of people don't understand it. A lot of cats there were corporate, or they just love his music and his persona as an artist, not realizing that's really who he is. Yeah. And they got a rude awakening, because if you said something he ain't like, he told you. He cussed you out if he needed to. Like, it was not, but it was only because, once again, we're talking about somebody who came from a bad area.
Yeah.
So when they come into a room of 30, 40, 50 people they don't know, he gonna be on guard. Right? So I know a lot of people were trying to ask him to do certain things. He's like, no. Nope. And we was like, oh, how are we gonna get through this? And he did it with me. I'm like, hey, yeah, let me take this up. Let me take this photo. He's like, are we done? I'm like, oof. All right, cool. Let's move on to the next. Hey, do you want to see these images to see if you approve? No, I'm good. But once again, I had to take myself out of that and say, this dude is really about what he talks about, what he's been through. And if you respect the music, you respect the person, and know that when you work with a lot of celebrities and artists that aren't all gonna be the same. I mean, kind of tied to hip hop is Ashanti. I'm just gonna bring her up because a lot of people thought, oh, she's gonna be distant, offstandish. She's not gonna want to deal with you. That was opposite. Like, she was, hey, can I see those? And she was like, hey, let me see the images. These are awesome. Hey, can you come in here and take some shots here and do this? And and then she was, at one point she said, thank you for being a part of this. And I'm like, you're Ashanti. Like, why would I? But then it made
that's
me
what you like. That's what you like.
Yeah,
that's what you want.
No, very true. But once again, it goes back to, depending on what her experiences are and what she's been through, to be appreciative of people who want to be there for her through whatever she may have been experiencing on the back end. So it's just to give you two different sides of the coin, but at the end of the day, you're there to work and be there for them. No matter what the response is, you're there to make sure that you do what you need to do for the artist, and then help them grow, because that's what the photography is for. That's what the artwork is for, is to really convey the artist to the crowd, and or to the new crowd that they have to express themselves with.
All right. Well, I mean, I know you gave her my number, so don't worry. When she hit me, I'm gonna change her life. It's cool with her fine ass. Nah. But let's do a little this or that.
Okay.
So just a little rapid fire. I know you shoot with a Fujifilm, but Canon or Nikon?
Nikon.
Okay. Cabo or Cancun?
Oh, Cancun.
Not Cabo.
Not Cabo.
Got you. Shout out to Cabo.
Yeah, shout out to Cabo, but no disrespect. But I'm only gonna say this because I haven't been to Cancun. So,
okay.
so that's a destination I have on my list of places that I do want to go, outside of where I've been.
You go like a mile offshore. The water is just at your waist. You can see you can see everything in it. It's so warm. So when you do go, Spirit Airlines or Frontier Airlines?
Oh man, I gotta choose one of them. Oh man, I'm gonna go Frontier, man. Spirit rough, but I go with Frontier. I take that over there because even Spirit's first class is not first class, man. Spirit's first class is coach.
I ain't never been on either of them, so I wouldn't know. Man.
No, well, real quick before you the next one, I'm gonna tell you why I feel that way because. And no disrespect to the client, that's why I'm gonna say the name, but I was at a last minute project, and the person who booked my flight was like, "We'll take care of your flight. We'll take care of everything. We'll pay the expenses." Did not know they would get me a Spirit flight. Man,
swam boozled you.
Oh man, I was like, yeah. I said, I'll get my own flight back. Just get me there. I'll take care of the rest when I get back. You already took care of me. Yeah.
All expenses paid trip. So while you on Frontier on your way to Cancun, you listening to Nas or Jay-Z?
Oh, okay. I mean, to be completely honest, Jay-Z. Mm-hmm. And I'm real quick. I'm gonna say why I love Nas. I have a crazy playlist of Nas, but there's so many more relatables that I get from Jay-Z, not only from my upbringing, but from the people around me as well that I've grown up with. There's things that we all relate to, and we've had conversations about. With Nas, he's on a whole nother planet, but I have to have a certain group of intellectuals that I'm talking to when you speak about what Nas is saying and how he's breaking certain things down. And that's really the difference.
That's facts. Facts plus facts. Okay, Rihanna or Beyonce?
Rihanna.
Reed.
Yeah.
That's my choice. Ass or titties?
Well, I gotta choose.
You're looking for a unicorn.
I'll say the backside. I'll say the backside, man. I'll say yeah, absolutely.
Henny or Remy?
Oh, Henny. Henny. XO.
XO. Henny XO. No, I ain't mad at that. And all right, we're running out of time here. Photography or graphic design?
Oh, wow. You know what I'm gonna say? I'm gonna say photography because there's more challenge. With graphic work, I can pull things together and make things happen if I have a little bit of more time. With photography, you really have to be, well thought out with that. Even with building sets, because I've been on some sets where we built sets out. Oh, you know what? I know we got to go, but let me say this. I'm gonna say why, because the whole situation with Balenciaga that's going on right now, with the whole shoot and everything. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking about touching on this subject, but I think this is gonna be important because I was talking to one of my friends and I told him I said, I can see the imagery being approved without anybody fully seeing it. And the reason why I say that, and I'm not backing or making any excuses for them, but I was on set up a project for a music video and I was there and they built the whole set. And for the posters they wanted to use, they said, we didn't make them, we don't own them, we can't use them because we don't know where it comes from or what's on it. So what happened was I had to use my laptop to build some quick graphics from photography I took on set that they could use in the music video, that the lawyers could approve. Like there's so many layers to it. So what happens is that you have to really look at every detail before you put something out because there's cats like zooming in on those images from that Balenciaga ad and they're finding so much stuff, dude. Yeah. So all of that. So I would say photography because you have to be very, very meticulous with everything.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with that myself. Frank 5D does come from somewhere. I did used to shoot with a 5D. But that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, sure.
How do you feel like IG and social media in general changed photography and graphic design?
I feel they changed them to force people to not be comfortable. And the reason why I say that is because even when I was coming to the game, there were cats in the game that have been here for 10, 15 years. And just off of their name, they can get a gig before you would. But now with social media, you have this cat that says, what if I flipped the phone upside down and I stood here near the sand and I had to kick through here? And now they're giving these phenomenal ideas to these ad campaigns and these companies with just their cell phones. Now, mind you, they may have to reshoot it for it to work across all commercial platforms, but the ideas are rapidly coming. Now you're not sitting around 2-3 months talking to this photographer and them having to hem and haw and hire the right people. Now everything is instantaneous. So it's challenged people to do that, where now, you know, it's like, oh, good example. I'm seeing a lot of these, the photography, the photographers that are doing these little cool things with their TikToks and their phones, getting sponsorships from different brands, right? They're getting these sponsorships. That wasn't a thing back then for photographers to get sponsorships. That wasn't a thing.
Who was doing a lot of that? Foot Locker. Foot Locker's doing a whole lot of that. Taking the social media photographers and doing campaigns with them.
Yeah,
giving them their own lines of gear and stuff.
Yeah, JD Snipes. There's a lot of people but then that opens up a whole nother realm for other things as well, because you know, shoe lines are doing it now. They're working with different photographers and stuff like that. And I know, you know, I know that they're starting to reach back to a lot of the photographers that really made big names. So just to name two of my favorite photographers in hip hop in general, out of all of them, it would be Mike Miller. Just, you know, that's a name that pretty much everybody should know. And if not, you know, when you get a free opportunity to look up Mike Miller. Some of the most iconic images from hip hop, especially including Snoop Dogg and everybody else. But then somebody that most people wouldn't think about is Dave LaChapelle.
Yeah.
Right. Dave LaChapelle did some phenomenal, you know, photography. He did the Kanye West iconic, you know, shot where he had the crown of thorns. That was controversial at that time.
I was actually lucky enough to work with him way back in the day. He directed a Christina Aguilera video, Can't Hold It Down. And I got to do some BTS for it.
Not only that, he did several iconic shots for her. I think for like Rolling Stone and some other ones. But then one of the most iconic shots that he did was the bathtub with Tupac.
Yeah.
And still to this day, I'm like, anytime you can get a thug to sit in the bathtub in a gold chastity belt and it's celebrated and it's iconic, you are a creative.
Yeah, he got him to do that, didn't he?
Yeah, because when you say it out loud, it's like you ain't gonna get nobody to do that, but it worked for him. He saw a vision in him that allowed, you know, Tupac to cross over visually, not just intellectually and with his words. You know, that image to this day is one of them shots that people still go back to because it wasn't the norm.
Right.
Yeah. So
there's so many more too. Jonathan Mannion comes to mind. Of course, Chai Modu, rest in peace. And even in who am I thinking of? Evidence, like, you know, not really. I still put him in the realm of a hip hop photographer, but you know, he does some really good photography work. Evidence from Dilated People. Shout out Evidence.
Well, see, and I think that's what most people forget. So let me shout this photographer out because most people might not know this. Once again, Young Guru. He shoots with Leica.
I didn't know that.
And he loves photography as well. And that's one of those things that, you know, when you start to branch out and research these people in hip hop, you're gonna find out they're so multifaceted. 50 Cent, I remember it was it the Source magazine? It was either Source magazine or one of them where he had a whole page spread because at the time 50 Cent was getting into photography. And that blew my mind. Yeah, he was a multi-platinum rapper behind the camera doing a shoot. I'm like, to me, that was groundbreaking because he didn't fit the stereotype anymore of what they thought he should stay as. And now look at
I automatically like Young Guru better now.
Yeah, exactly. Indeed. A fun side story with 50 Cent. Shout out to my man Jeff Phoenix because he brought me onto this. We were hired to do a gig shooting Cuban Link for her birthday. And didn't know we were pulling up to one of 50 Cent's houses. And like I said, he's a person he's real as all as can be as well. Because when we pulled up, we definitely got approached. So people who think 50 sweet, please don't. You're gonna find out the hard way. But we got
Find
there
out the
and
hard way, people.
Yeah, and we got there. We were welcomed into his house. We said thank you first off because he didn't have to let us in, and we were deep. We were like four people, a lot of equipment, things of that nature. And while she was getting prepped and everything, we weren't expecting this, but he was sitting down with us talking about production and movies and stuff he's working on, and the potential deals he has coming up with other networks and all this other stuff. And then I look over and I'm looking at his Grammys. I'm sitting here looking at all the things that this man achieved that, he shouldn't technically have been alive after all of the shots he endured.
Right.
And now I'm sitting on this man's couch, after listening to Get Rich or Die Trying Till I broke the CD. I'm sitting on this man's couch with a lot of my teammates, and he's breaking down game to us while I'm
soaking up greatness.
Man, you listen, I would have paid for that session.
Right.
I would have paid to sit there and do that. So, that it just goes to show that, hip hop has so much more versatility than most people would know. So, yeah.
What we talking about, that's why we're here. Give some advice for some shooters that's coming up.
Oh, absolutely. Okay. Everyone has to start somewhere. So even if you feel like you're not where you want to be, you're where you need to be to get to the next step. As long as you keep setting goals for yourself. And once you hit that one goal and go to the next. I'll never forget my first apartment with my, at the time, girlfriend. I'm sitting in the corner with a Toshiba laptop trying to make mixtape covers. Mm-hmm. Right? And I'm using the trackpad. I ain't got no mouse. I don't have nothing. I'm struggling to get this stuff done. And now I'm sitting in front of, a $10,000 setup and be able to push work out like this. It takes time. You're going to be where you need to be once you come out of where you're at. But it takes time. You're where you need to be, so therefore you can get where you're going.